Hey guys, it's Angelo, and as we're getting closer and closer to Legion, today we're having a look at all the Shadow Priest Legendaries that drop in the upcoming expansion. Some of these legendaries are incredibly strong and will seriously change the way you play. Others aren't as strong from a damage perspective, but have nice quality of life changes, like benefiting from CC abilities or improving your self-healing. Overall, legendaries have their worth, but keep in mind that as these items are still not final, all things are still subject to change, and could potentially go live in a different way. The legendaries seem relatively solid though, however, so I personally do not think a lot of the things I present to you today will change. Now, without further ado, my friends, let's go ahead and have a look. First off, we have the legendary helmet, which by the way has a pretty weird name, so be ready for this. Zenk Aram Iridi's Anadem is a critical strike and haste item, which increases the healing done from our Vampiric Embrace by 250% while in void form. As simplistic as this legendary may sound, 250% increased healing on the little healing cooldown we do have is actually very strong, and with this legendary, our Vampiric Embrace can seriously be chained onto another actual healing cooldown. Next up, we have our legendary wrists. Anun's Seared Shackles give us critical strike and mastery, and each time our Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch deal damage, our next Void Bolt gains 2% increased damage. This effect can stack up to 50 times, by the way. From tests on the beta, I can tell you that this is among the top 3 of our legendaries in my opinion. With a lot of insanity stacks, our dots begin to tick faster and faster, meaning the Void Bolt damage stacks up faster and faster as well. Eventually, with a lot of base haste, this effect will not take long to unleash itself to the full potential, enabling Void Bolt to deal altogether 100% or twice its usual damage. Our legendary neck, which has an incredibly weird name, Pridus Xaberix Magnum Opus, has critical strike and mastery, and after not taking damage for 5 seconds, the priest gains an absorb shield for 15% of his or her maximum health for the next 30 seconds. This effect is limited to occurring once every 30 seconds as well. Now clearly, another survivability legendary, a 15% absorb shield is pretty nice to have. Norganon's Foresight is an all-cloth wearing legendary, so for mages, warlocks, and priests, and grants haste and mastery. Your instant cast spells have a chance to trigger the Foresight effect, which makes your next non-instant cast spell castable while moving. Of course, this legendary once again has excellent stats, but as good as the passive proc may sound, let me explain why it's not really that good for us Shadow Priests. While under the influence of Mangas Madness, we can cast everything while moving anyway, meaning the proc on this legendary will become completely useless. That being said, while not under the effects of Mangas Madness, but while in void form, this effect is just slight quality of life improvement really, as our main ability, Void Bolt, is an instant cast either way, and one of our dots is as well. But having a Mind Blast or Mind Flay channel castable while moving, or even a Vampiric Touch, isn't all too bad really. The same goes when not in void form. Up next, we have one of our strongest legendary items. Mother Shara's Seduction has critical strike and mastery, and when you enter void form, every 7 seconds remaining of your duration on Lingering Insanity grants you a stack of void form. Let me simplify this for you. After completing a good void form, you'll be able to enter the next void form faster due to having more haste while not in void form, through Lingering Insanity, that is the buff you then get. When you now enter the next void form quickly, you'll gain a little stack boost for your next void form per se. Let's say you have 40 seconds remaining on your Lingering Insanity. This will give you 5 stacks of void form for free, basically meaning you've got 5 extra seconds in void form this time around. The next time you now leave void form, you'll have even more Lingering Insanity stacks because you were in void form longer. This legendary is pretty interesting with our Void Lord talent, and combining the two gives a lot of extra void form stacks. With this legendary, some priests have managed to get to 89 and 90 stacks while not using Surrender to Madness, which is super crazy in your void form. Cepha's Secret, a rather PvP-oriented legendary, has haste and mastery, and grants its user 70% increased movement speed and 15% haste for 10 seconds, after applying a loss of control or CC effect. This effect can only occur every 30 seconds. Now, if you're able to proc this on trash packs, this item is actually very strong in regular PvE content, as it does serve a good quality of life change, but as this won't really work on bosses, all you're getting from most raids at least are its stats, unfortunately. Another one of our strong legendary items, Mangas Madness, has critical strike and haste, so perfect stats for us, and increases the maximum number of charges of our Mind Blast by 2. Now, when I tested this item on the beta, it was the strongest one damage-wise, at least over a short period of time. Having 2 extra Mind Blast charges, or 3 altogether, helps you in multiple ways. First off, this increases the speed you can enter your first Void Form in an encounter with drastically. Most of the time, you'll be in Void Form after 2 Mind Blasts and a Mind Flay channel already, given your Auspicious Spirits begin running. After Void Eruption, you'll have your next charge back up, so you'll be back at 2 charges, and can now easily save yourself a charge for when things get a bit difficult to handle in Void Form. This of course can also happen with 3 charges. Or, you can chain the Mind Blast after your first Void Bolt, so you can chain all 3 of them, and basically use them as strong fillers, rather than having to cast Mind Flay. This gives you more insanity and does more damage, as most of you will probably know, because Mind Blast does more damage than Mind Flay, therefore it is the better filling spell. Now, as my final words on these legendaries, I'd like to leave you all with some insights of mine. Ultimately, it does not really matter what legendaries you obtain first. All legendaries have their benefits to them, so don't be discouraged or even a bit irritated per se if you don't get the legendary you actually wanted in the first place. Eventually, you'll have all the legendaries you want, or rather the ones that give you the most use, and if you upgrade your class order hall up all the way, you're even able to equip 2 of them at once. Thank you so much for watching, friends. On a side note, we've recently hit 1,000 subscribers, and I want to thank every single one of you for that. I'll be sure to keep up the quality of the content in the future, and will do my best to improve it as best as I possibly can. You can expect a little special video to follow up very soon where I express the future plans of the channel and perhaps a first Q&A. Now again, thank you for everything so far. Let's hope that the future holds even more great things, and I will see you guys in the next one.